When I saw what hate had done to them, I couldn't hate back. I could only pity them. I didn't want hate to do to me what it had already done to these men. This was the realization John Perkins came to one cold night in February 1970. As he lay on the floor of the county jail, beaten, bloody, barely hanging on to life, at the mercy of bloodthirsty, racist highway patrolmen and sheriff deputies, John realized that despite the pure hatred they unleashed on him unprovoked and inhumanely, he could not feel hatred towards them, only pity for all the hatred they held in their heart. John M. Perkins was born into a sharecropping and bootlegging family in rural Mississippi. His mother died shortly after his birth, and his father only came around a handful of times. He was primarily raised by his grandmother. Amidst the very explicit racism of the Jim Crow South, John came of age and experienced racism firsthand. By far the most traumatic incidence of this for him was when his older brother Clyde, a decorated World War II veteran, died in his arms after being shot by a deputy marshal. John left for California shortly after this, and he writes that he was thankful God removed him from there for a time to gain perspective. He said that if it weren't for the time away, he may have developed a serious hatred in his heart for white people. After coming to know and accept Christ in California and becoming quite successful in his work, John felt the conviction from God to return to Mississippi. He recognized that God was at work even in the most difficult of places, and John was invited into that work. John began his ministry in Mendenhall, Mississippi, focusing not just on preaching the gospel, but living it too. He organized the community to provide for those with serious needs and to offer further and better education to kids and adults. He also worked relentlessly to push back against the racism that was so prevalent and hostile. Unfortunately, this was met with serious resistance and retaliation, such as the scene I described a moment ago. But he did not back down. He stood firm on his convictions and faithfully remained peacefully resistant to the injustices in his community. His work in Mendenhall transformed the black community, and after passing the baton to individuals from the community he had trained, he went on to do similar work in Jackson, Mississippi, and after another decade in Pasadena, California. Through his faithfulness to God, John Perkins led a movement and started the Christian Community Development Association, teaching the church to be who God called us to be.